Okay, well, I'll kick us off. Welcome everyone to our Q&A with Click webinar series. We are so excited to have all of you with us today for our April session, where we'll talk about migrating from ClickView to ClickSense SaaS. This webinar series is a live question and answer session, or you may have seen us refer to it as our live office hours with our expert panelists. We want you to use this time to ask a question on today's topic and hopefully get to know some of the good people here at Click a little more. So on that note, I am Katie Davis, and I will be your moderator for this session. I'm a senior community program manager, bringing support-related events like these to our users and working on various digital channels on Click Community. You might have seen me posting on our support updates blog. That's another great place to get support and product news, so keep an eye out for that. I'm located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is in the northeast of the United States. And we're slowly but surely starting to step into that spring weather. So it goes back and forth every day right now. But this week it's been good so far. Now, before I introduce our panelists, I'll go over our session parameters real quick. Everyone is currently on mute, and we ask that you type your questions in the Q&A panel. It's right there below. If you hit Q&A, you'll be able to type any question to us and we'll receive it throughout the session. We will not be typing back a response because we'll be answering it all live today. So keep an ear out for when your question is asked. Our survey link will pop up when the session is ended. It is also linked in this presentation, so please make sure you complete it. It takes 15 seconds. We made it shorter and sweeter this year. We also plan to email out the survey link with the recording 1 week from today, and the survey will be shared with it. So that's what helps us continuously improve this experience for you. So we really hope you check it out. We love when participants give us future topic ideas. So that way we know it's what you want to hear about. These can range anything from product specific or functionality focused. Go ahead and email those ideas to digital@click.com. Topic suggestions can also be included when you register. So speaking of registrations, when you go sign up for our next session, there's an option way at the bottom of the page that you can check to receive monthly invites so you don't miss a beat. Keep in mind that even though we have Click Techsperts on the line today, we will not be able to answer any of your questions regarding a specific open case. And we ask that you just keep the questions relevant to today's topic, which is migrating to ClickSense SaaS. So without further ado, I will introduce our panelists. We'll start with Daniele Perrone. He is our senior technical support engineer and one of our SaaS leads. We have Albert Candelario, who manages technical support team here at Click. We have Julia Cashman-Kipperberg, who's our ClickView product manager. Johan Jensen, a senior R&D director, so that's in the product development side. And last but not least, we have Jonathan Poole, who is a master principal analytics platform architect supporting our pre-sales organization. And that was all a mouthful because we have such great panelists here today. So I'll stop talking and let each of you introduce yourselves. Daniele, would you like to start? Oh, you're on mute.
I'm unmuted now. Okay.
We got it.
Hi, this is Daniele. I've been with Click for 8 years now. As Katie said, I am a senior technical support engineer. I also supervise the team of technical support engineers that work specifically with Click Cloud cases. So I'm also quite expert in ClickView. I talk regularly with the ClickView team, so I'm kind of sitting in both worlds at the moment.
Awesome, thank you. And Albert?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Albert. I joined Click 4 years and a half ago. Joined as technical support engineer. Actually, today I'm a support manager. I'm running a team of 8 engineers They are based in Barcelona. My main focus is, well, to develop and to take care of the team, as well of handling customer escalations. At the same time, whenever I have some spare minutes, I try to answer questions of our community about mainly ClickView or either SaaS questions. Thank you.
Great, thanks. And Johan?
Yes, so I'm Johan Jinsson. I've been with Qlik for 16 years now, in R&D the whole time. Various different roles, but currently leading what we call the client managed group, which is ClickView and ClickSense Enterprise for Windows.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, Jonathan.
Hi, everybody. This is, I go by Johnny typically. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. I've been with Qlik about 10 years, and that was very close to the release of ClickView 11.2. So familiar with ClickView, ClickSense, and now our SaaS platform.
Awesome, thank you. All right, and I see someone put in the Q&A, are you going to cover migrating from Sense to on-premise to SaaS? Our main focus will be ClickView to ClickSense SaaS today, because we have a great stacked panelist that will be able to speak to that really well. But we also have some experts on the ClickSense SaaS side. So if you want to ask any questions, we'll see if we can tackle them. Well, we'll start with the ClickView though. And I have some questions that I picked off of community that we'll go through, but feel free to put your questions in now. Now's the time to do it in the Q&A section below. And we'll pick through them and get our experts on it. So I'll start with the first one, which is, can anyone provide me a detailed list of features that are present in ClickSense, but not present in ClickView? We saw this come in a little bit earlier, so I picked out some resources that I want to share with you guys. It's very high level, but I will ping it in the message here, and I'll let the experts kind of speak more to their experience between the two products. But here we have a high level feature and functions between ClickSense and ClickView. It really shows probably what you want to focus on, which is the SaaS and multi-cloud. And there's ways to do both a full SaaS deployment, or you could even do a hybrid environment where you have an on-premise ClickSense and connect to the Qlik Cloud as well. So I will share this across. And then if you haven't switched to ClickSense yet and you don't know which direction to go into, we also have a resource that goes through ClickSense Business versus ClickSense Enterprise. I'll say ClickSense Business is kind of for our smaller scaled organizations or even individuals if you want to use the product, and then ClickSense Enterprise is for kind of larger deployments. As you can see here, the standard app size that they recommend is around 5 gigabytes. So this is all out on our qlik.com, and I will share these links in the messaging as well, while I let some of the experts talk about maybe their experience between the two products. Some things you like about both, some things you prefer in one. Anyone want to speak to that?
I mean, I can say something. First of all, maybe we should update a little bit the documentation that you showed, because of course we can now have ClickView in the cloud. So even if it just says ClickView is only on premise, yes, you're going to need to have a on-premise installation, but then you can deploy it to the cloud. So that's something that we can provide at the moment, and it's basically a step for assisting people with the migration from moving from ClickView to the cloud, and then they first can have the ClickView apps there and ClickView documents there. We should still call them documents, I guess. And then with time, people can get ready for the migration and get the full ClickSense experience. The ClickSense experience is a more modern experience. So you have something which is adaptable, scalable to different resolutions. So you can use it on a mobile a lot better than our ClickView mobile app. And you have more modern charts and visualizations. So I don't think we have a full list in the details of everything. There was never meant to be a full feature parity between the two products and between a full comparison. But at the moment, if you need to start with anything, I would say start definitely with ClickSense. ClickView, you can use it in the cloud. If you want to have ClickView, for the moment, you can keep on using it. You will need a publisher solution to publish things in the cloud, or you'll be able to upload the documents directly with drag and drop. And definitely there are solutions around that. But definitely at the moment, go ahead with ClickSense if you're starting now.
That's a good way to put it all. All right, and we have some questions that are coming through now from Amit. First is Click Reporting Service a replacement for nPrinting? So Click Reporting Service is on the Click Enterprise SaaS, ClickSense Enterprise SaaS product. Can anyone speak to how if it's a replacement?
I can take that one as well. It's not meant as a replacement in the sense we're gonna migrate from nPrinting to reporting. Click Reporting is a series of is a set of APIs that can be activated via Click Automation or via your own API calls, and it's meant to generate reports on Click Cloud. And at the moment, and I think it's going to be only for ClickSense applications on the cloud. I don't think there's the intention of doing it for ClickView applications. But yes, I mean, we're going to expand Click Reporting. It's going to get more functionalities and more, but it's going to be a replacement in the sense that it's going to be the application, the tool to use in the cloud to generate reports. It's not a replacement like it's something which is going to have the same functionalities that nPrinting has. It's a different product.
Appreciate it. Thanks. And then they had a second question, which is, why is schedule removed from Click SaaS? Scheduler means we can schedule tasks in QMC, but not in Click SaaS in the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, maybe that one, I can speak about that one.
Okay.
And I think that now with the new automation, there is actually some templates where you can do some task chaining or reload tasks in parallel. So maybe some of those functionalities that they want to achieve, they could be achieved either way with the automation or either using SaaS CLI as well. That could be another option to schedule tasks and have those task chainings that they used to have on client managed as well on their SaaS. There are some limitations in time ways, but they could achieve that.
Okay.
The automation is only for ClickSense Enterprise. So
yes.
If they have an instance business, they would need to use the CLI or other solutions that people can build that.
It's probably worth sharing. I'll just briefly share my screen, but if you create a new app automation, there's some templates that are available. And one of the templates is reload apps as a task chain. So it's made quite easy to deploy task chaining in SaaS as long as you have access to Click App Automation.
You see where you're sharing your screen? Oh, perfect. It's coming through. All right, we see the templates. Yep.
Yeah, so when you first launch, when you first go to create an automation in your tenant in Click SaaS, there are some predefined templates that come up so that you could do some of the features that you'd like to do with a ClickSense scheduler, such as reload apps as a task chain just over here. So it'll show you how to assemble the blocks so that you could reload one app and then on condition, which is successful finish, reload something else. And it's more powerful because it's multiple conditions. So if it fails, you could do another action, for example. So it's Click App Automation is a much more expanded capability, and we are serving the scheduling features through Click App Automation. And like the previous question, we're also serving some of the lightweight reporting capabilities through Click App Automation as well.
Thanks for sharing. That's a good view of it all. So we have a question from Quetzal, which Quetzal, I think I've seen you in one of our past sessions, so thanks for joining again. It says, you can't access ClickView scripts when uploading QVW files. What are the ClickView licensing options, like lease license from server, so you can open, access legacy or archived QVW files in the future? You'll probably still have access to your QV server during migration, but probably not long term.
I can answer some of those.
Thanks.
So start with the ClickView scripts. When you go through Publisher and you publish a document, even on-prem, the publisher removes the script because as on-prem, the user document does not have a script in it. The same thing happens when you publish it to cloud through Publisher. If you do add your file by adding it through the hub instead of through Publisher, your script is going to remain in the file. So that's kind of the same behavior as it's been before. What are the ClickView licensing options? Well, once you're in ClickView in SAS, what the option you have is professional or analyzer. So the signed license key options are the ones that are available. License lease. If you're coming in, you can't use the Ajax client to do license lease. You need a professional license for sure. I do think that you will get license lease if you're coming in with the plugin and with a professional license. That's my recollection of it, but I'm not 100% sure. Only 75.
I hope.
Yeah, as I recall it, this is the way it should work because we should do the same things there. And the whole idea is exactly because we want the license lease. ClickView can actually, I see the new question coming in here, professional analyzer for ClickView Sense. Yes, but you can also, when you go to having ClickView in cloud, you do have the signed license key for ClickView as well. And that gives you professional and analyzer for ClickView.
I think the question might be about being able to continue developing application in a desktop client and edit them, and then how do you release them if you don't have a QVS anymore? I think that, I mean, in order to have a publisher, you still need to have a QVS. It might be a very limited QVS. You don't need to allocate much resources to it, but you can still have a QVS and then lease the license from that one. And then you should be able to work on applications without any kind of problems. In order to have a publisher, you need to have a QVS. So you cannot live without it. But you can have it on the same machine where you have the publisher. Just keep it very slim, just for that purposes of leasing the license and being able to develop. That would be a technical solution for it at the moment.
Jonathan, did you want to add anything?
Well, I mean, that is a very good question, because if it's archives, then we're assuming it's read-only at that point. So the users can continue to consume it on the new license type. They could be professionals or analyzers in SAS. But if they required for any reason the ability to edit the ClickView, the QVW, they, like Daniel was saying, and Johan, they need access to ClickView Desktop, and it must be a licensed version of ClickView Desktop. And my answer would be to assess whether local client desktop licenses still exist within your organization, and if they do, you can continue to use them. They're all by themselves. But if you convert to a signed license key and you had to convert for whatever reason, you would, as Daniel's saying, have to lease through your ClickView server, even if it's a modest, tiny ClickView, basically a license server. That's all it does, but you still need that piece of software to lease a license.
Okay, we hope that gave you some background, Quetzal. All right, and then there's a question, is adding SSH tunneling to SAS on the roadmap? which I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with what SSH tunneling is, so I'm hoping one of you is. And then Qlik data transfer defeats having a cloud solution. We're still investigating forts. One thing I'll add before I hand it off to our experts is on May 4th, we're having a May Qlik Forts Be With You session for Q&A with Qlik, which I really tried to get the pun in there. So if you're still investigating at that time, definitely join our May 4th session where you can learn a little bit more about Qlik Forts. So does anyone know about SSH tunneling? I know we don't really speak to roadmap items, but
I mean, I'm assuming that you want to have a secure shell, or is it as I don't understand the question, because SSH is like a secure shell version of Telnet. So you basically remote connect to the machine. So people won't be able to remote connect to our tenants with a secure shell. Don't think that is gonna ever happen. It might be it's possible in forts with some limitations, but so I don't know if I understood the question right. Then the answer is no. No secure shell connections to our Qlik Cloud environment for the moment.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
perhaps just explain the use case, because Qlik data transfer can be used to ship QVD files, or it's a way to move your data to cloud. And I can see you're investigating forts. So maybe the issue is a data access. We do have a roadmap item coming up at the end of Q2, Q3, to have a new way of connecting to your on-premise data source, but it's not going to be SSH tunneling per se. But there is more work being done to access hybrid data as is. Access on-premise data behind a firewall from a Qlik SaaS tenant.
Yeah, it's a secure gateway that should be coming. It's in the roadmap.
All right. Thanks, guys. And we have another question for licenses. So for licenses for QlikView to QlikSense migration, what is best practice here? Use license key control number or SLK on the QlikView server?
I mean, you will need to move to a signed license key, because the thing is this: you're gonna have users that are gonna be connecting probably on the QlikView server and also on the Qlik Cloud, and you don't want to have those users. You don't want to use duplicate licenses for each one of those users. So as soon as you move to a signed license key and you build a solution where you have a single sign-on and you use the same solution that you have in, for instance, you can use Active Directory, and you can have your Qlik Cloud identity provider and get the data from Active Directory and build something where you have the same users using just one license for going to QlikView on-premise, QlikSense on-premise, and Qlik Cloud. Definitely moving to a signed license key is probably the best option when it comes to that.
Okay, and then I think a follow-up from the last question, which is saying the issue is accessing encrypted data in SaaS. So secure gateway is what they're looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, I would recommend reaching out to your account manager to understand the roadmap, because a secure gateway is planned.
Great, thanks. All right. Now there is a question or a comment back to when we were speaking to automation. I'm trying to see if there's a true question in here, but I'll try to read some of it. It says, if I'm not wrong, then automation has a limitation that task should complete within 3 hours, but in enterprise QMC, we do not have these kind of limitations. We run the tasks from Qlik CLI, but there is no monitoring available. It makes life difficult in the enterprise world. So I think they're just looking for ways to have any best practices when it comes to monitoring and automation.
Yeah, I understand the the question. So each, if you're running up against a limit of how long the automation can run, then what you could do is split the each step of the automation into multiple automations, so that the automation that kicks off the chain will kick off, it runs, but then it triggers, you can have an automation that will listen to the webhook event of when the first task reloads, and when the first two tasks reloads, it can kick off the next. So you can kind of split it across multiple automations. It's not as seamless as you want, and I believe we are looking at how we address these limits, because we know from our on-premise experience that there are quite a long number of running tasks out there in some customers. So there's still some work being done on the limits, but the quick answer is just to split it into multiple automations so that each step doesn't need to be as long.
And some other webinar recordings that we have that might be of interest. So if you go to Click Community, which is where our Q&A with Click program lives, you'll see our upcoming events and past events. And we have done application automation, and we've done boosting ClickSense performance. So if you have any questions on, app performance, you might find some useful tips in there. All right. And then Justice John is asking, any good documentation video for people like me who are looking to move from ClickSense Enterprise to ClickSense SaaS?
This is a little bit outside our scope for today, but
Yeah.
I have posted a link in the chat, and that's a good starting point. I guess we might need to schedule a new event like this when we discuss moving from ClickSense Enterprise to cloud.
We'll schedule a new one, and I'm going to put it in the link to everyone because I think it just got sent to us. So now everyone can use that if you're interested. All right, let me go through some other questions that we have. We sourced from community. Again, everyone feel free to keep putting them in the Q&A panel below.
Katie, before you answer your next one, I can show a little bit more about the task chaining from ClickApp Automation that may help the user who was asking.
That would be great. Let me stop sharing.
Thanks very much. So the way it works is that I've created my new template that would do 2 reloads in a row. But at the beginning, instead of having it set to manual, which is what the template says, you can have it set to webhook. And then you can pick an event. And in this case, we want to pick it if another app reload has finished, and you can put in the app ID of that other app reload. So this automation will only trigger once the first automation finishes. So this could partially address your question, where if a single automation can run within the time limit, it can kick off a different automation that will do the next app in the chain. As long as each one can fit within the limits, it should work. I just wanted to share that. If you haven't seen that in the user interface of ClickApp Automation, it's pretty fun and interesting, all the different ways the API endpoints have been exposed for you to do these conditional things in one automation or multiple automations.
Definitely, it's really helpful. And we have another question that came in. Is there an option to allow ClickView users to develop apps in ClickSense SaaS without allowing the users to import files data?
I can answer that one.
Thank
right
you.
now, the answer is no. I don't think it's not really in our roadmap either, because there's so many things you can do in ClickView Desktop to develop an app. To try to move all of that to cloud right now doesn't really make sense for us. So we're looking at importing the already developed files, but not develop new ones for ClickView in the cloud.
Okay, thank you. And Michael, we see your comment. We'll definitely have another session about moving on-prem to SaaS. All right, let me pull up some other questions. Again, remember to put your questions in the Q&A panel. Here we have one, which is, are there any changes that need to be made to my applications from client managed ClickView or ClickSense before I can work on them in SaaS? Any thoughts on that one?
Well, at least on the ClickView side, we do publish a list of minor features that aren't supported in ClickSaaS, and I'll look to bring that link up as I go through this. The other thing is, if your users are consuming ClickView through SaaS, they will be using a different identity provider, which will be typically an OIDC identity provider. That means the users may be identified differently depending on your setup. So you might have to update your section access table in your ClickView document. Daniel, I know you were going to say something. I was just going to pull up the link to the.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. We have on the help site, if you cannot find it, I have it, a link with the functionalities that are not supported in ClickView in the cloud. There is also some functions and statements that are not supported. So something that are specifically for the client managed version, it will not work in the cloud. Another thing to consider is that is not specifically about cloud or client managed, but if users were using the plugin, it's possible to use the formerly called Internet Explorer plugin in Microsoft Edge. We have a couple of articles on how to do that, both on premise and in the cloud. But in Edge, QVP links will not work. So if they are using QVP links, I don't think that's documented specifically about being limitations in the cloud. But it's clear that with Microsoft dropping support for Internet Explorer, we won't be able to support Internet Explorer anymore ourselves. So something that might need to be considered at the moment.
Maybe there is another topic, maybe not related to the app or the design of the app, but they need also to take into account the size of the app once it's open in memory, right? So depending on the tier or capacity that you have on your tenant, you will be able to open that app in our tenant or on the customer tenant or not.
Yeah, I mean, people will need probably to redesign larger apps, and in that case, probably it's better, instead of rebuilding ClickView apps from scratch, in that case, it's better to consider migrating to ClickSense apps instead, and of course, split them and redesign them according to what is needed.
All right. And Jonathan, I'm just going to put that link to everyone so they can see it. And I'll even pull it up here. So help.click.com is where we have a lot of product resources. In here, there's a whole comparing ClickView and ClickSense, and I think that's a good place to start for a lot of this.
And just to add, Katie, if you click on the ClickView functions just there, yeah, that one, there's a list of the items that wouldn't be supported. What's important is that Click Services does have a mini quick paid engagement that would allow you to survey all of your ClickView documents and isolate which ones would have unsupported items in them. And it at least gives you a starting point from a project standpoint on whether you are lightly exposed and can just eliminate a few features and publish ClickView. Then you have a light track forward. Or if you're more heavily exposed and would consider transitioning over to ClickSense. So if you're trying to make that assessment, there is a mini paid engagement offered through Click Services that uses utility to assess all of your applications, whether it's 5 or 2,000. It'll do the whole thing. And then through your account manager, if you are interested in a conversion of licensing, we do have a handy SaaS readiness app. And the SaaS readiness application will do a lighter survey of your ClickView documents and establish what tier of SaaS they fit, whether they fit in the standard tier or whether you need an elevated offering to support larger documents. So if you're interested in a license conversion, you can do that through talking to your account manager to do a SaaS readiness. It's a lighter weight engagement. It's not paid through services. That's for license conversion. If you do want to do more, get a project started, there is a paid version that does a more extensive deep dive into all the features that you use.
Great. And Quetzal is asking, any tips on migrating QVF files that have section access? I know we touched on that at the beginning of this past question, but
there is definitely something on the help site about how to redo the section access. I saw it. I don't have it. Let me see.
While you're searching, I can elaborate a little bit on that, because the ID that we'll be identifying you with is different, as Albert mentioned earlier about the IDP that you're using. So we're using a common denominator in an email address that will tie together both the two IDPs, both your Active Directory on-prem and the cloud-related one. And I see you found the link now, Daniela.
Yeah, I found it. So we have for backwards compatibility. Yeah, so that should be the link that I am posting now in the chat to all panelists. That explains a little bit of how to do it, what to do.
Awesome, thanks. I'll pull it up right here. All right. And then I have a developed ClickView dashboard, QVW file. Can I migrate the same pages from ClickView to ClickSense, including tables, charts, and their expressions?
I mean, what they can do at the moment is they have two alternatives. You have two alternatives. You can upload the QVF via the publisher to the cloud and use it as a QVW. I mean, it's going to be converted in the background to QVF, but you'll see a ClickView application with the limitations that we mentioned before, that there might be some unsupported features. Or you can convert it. There is in ClickSense Desktop, you can activate the Dev Hub and start the converting process. It's not going to be, of course, identical. There's some actions. It's not out of the box conversions, but we facilitate the conversion of ClickView documents to ClickSense once, and then you'll be able to use a native ClickSense app. Importing data from at least some of the objects that you have in ClickView.
Okay.
I'll get the link to the ClickView converter. Let me just check.
Yeah, that will be helpful for sure.
And
then, while you do that, I'll ask this next question. We have a ClickView QVD, which the business wants to use them for ClickSense. How can we make them available in ClickSense, and how can we build the task the same like in ClickView? Does that make sense, that question?
I can answer some of that, maybe. Okay. So the QVD file, the ClickView data file, is similar between ClickView and ClickSense, and can be used in either one of them. So if you have a complex chain set up in ClickView Publisher already to build your QVDs, you can keep that one running on the publisher and just take the QVDs and use them in ClickSense. So it's either ClickSense on-prem, or it could be move them up to your cloud environment as well, and do a ClickSense file in SAS. So that should be the option there, I think. And if you really invested a lot already in building that chain and making it work, then you can just keep on using it. So the QVDs are the same.
Great, thank you. I'm copying some links out to everyone. We'll also share these out with the recording as well. So if you don't get them all clicked and saved today, a week from today, we'll put these links out. Now is the time where I do my reminder for everyone to put your questions in. So we have about 15 minutes left, but really only 3 more questions on our end that we got from community. So use this time to ask your final questions, and we'll make sure our experts that we have on the call today can get them answered. I have a little bit of a longer question here with me right now, so everyone bear with me. It says, I'm trying to convert ClickView document to a ClickSense app. I am stuck with a text object in ClickView, which has actions to set a variable value when that particular text box is clicked. But the ClickSense text box does not seem to have an option to add an action to it when the text box is clicked. Any help is much appreciated. So does anyone here have experience with adding, action text to ClickSense? It's a very specific question, so we might have to get back to
you.
Oh, great. Thanks, Julia.
Yeah, so just a brief intro, by the way. So I am the product manager for ClickView, as Katie mentioned. I also am the product manager for ClickSense Enterprise on Windows, mobile, and accessibility. And I'm located in Boston, Massachusetts, so also getting that lovely spring weather. So to answer the question, the best thing that I can recommend, so obviously the question is correct where we don't have the option to add actions to the text box, but we do have the option to add an action to a button. So one of the things that this particular user can do is actually put the action on a button and then maybe just add a text box explaining the action or any sort of detail that they'd want to include there. So that could be an alternative to what they're doing currently in ClickView.
That's great. Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, sure.
And then I know we touched on this earlier when we brought up printing and Click reporting service, but what are the reporting differences between ClickView and ClickSense SAS?
Okay, at the moment, the Click Cloud reporting is still in the early stages. You can generate PDF reports and you can generate them from sheets, but you don't have the granularity or from objects, but you don't have the granularity that you have at the moment with imprinting. We're going to add more and more features to Click reporting, and we're going to have exporting to other formats, of course, because people is asking for PowerPoint or other things than PDF, but also improving the functionalities that we have around that Teams and other options. So at the moment it's a start. You're able to generate a report, and but so imprinting in that sense, imprinting has been existing for a very long time. So it's a more mature product, and it has more functionalities. But sooner or later, we're not going to aim at feature parity. That needs to be clear for the moment. But we're going to make Click reporting more and more powerful, and with new functionalities that might be different than the ones that you have in imprinting, or might fill some of the gaps.
Okay, thanks. And we have another question from the audience. What's the best way to migrate a ClickView report in ClickSense SAS? Is it QRS, or is there a better way to do it?
I mean, in ClickView, we used to have two sorts of reports. The one that are built within the application and the ones that are done via imprinting. Yeah, I mean, you will with a new reporting. The new reporting functionality is a new product. It's a new functionality. You will need to start from scratch. It's clean slate. I mean, you can start and build something new in the new environment.
All right. And we have our last question here, which is very open-ended. It says, how can I take my Qlik deployment to the next level? I'm sure we can focus that on your QlikSense SaaS deployment, assuming people are working their way towards that product. They're trying to migrate to that product. I think we can use this as like, any best practices or tips that you guys want to share as your ending statement for when people are migrating to QlikSense SaaS. I know we brought up templates before. Is there any way to think about it that you want to add?
I mean, my suggestion when it comes to migrating to SaaS into cloud in these situations is like a typical scenario is a customer that is having a server, QlikView server, where they run all the services, server, publisher, and other things, and they start to realize that that server is not able to handle the load. So what I suggest in those cases is, okay, in the old world, I would have recommended split the publisher from the QlikView server and have two different on-premise machines. But now with cloud, you can just keep the machine that you have at the moment, and you can move the server environment to our cloud. So you basically use the publisher, you slim down the QVS on the machine, and you distribute applications from the publisher to the cloud. And that's a good way of starting the migration. I don't know how to interpret that question. I don't know if that's the answer that people was expecting, but
very open-ended. It was on our QlikSense SaaS forum, which I'll also highlight. If anyone else wants to speak to it, feel free. But on our community page, we have forums if you want to find some like-minded people, or source your questions to a broader group. We have under data analytics, we have QlikSense, where if you're new to QlikSense, you can join this forum and look at all the other features and subproducts that we have with that. And that might be a way to take your deployment to the next level, is look at alerting and security and governance and see all of the beautiful aspects that we have with QlikSense. And if you're still working within QlikView, we have a QlikView forum for all of the core components. So this is a great place to go and live for resources, in addition to these help.qlik.com resources that we shared in all of the chat pieces. So those are some great resources. And as I said before, keep on joining our Q&A with Qlik. We have under support and programs, this is where you can find our upcoming sessions. Techspert Talks is run by my colleague Troy. That's what we call our show and tell. So he really does a deep dive into a specific topic and gives some best practices, and then has a short Q&A at the end as well. So look at all of these programs. We'd love to have you. And I'll ask some of these final questions if we can do some rapid fire answers as we're at the end. Kareem asks, regarding reporting, are there any workarounds to support displaying granular table data? So all rows in a table. Is that not a rapid answer? I know you're all thinking. I see the wheels turning in your head.
We had a few weeks ago meeting like this about the reporting, and I think that was mentioned. So maybe you could about like something which is coming in the future, or I don't know. Maybe it's worth checking that presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And again, I know we mentioned Qlik reporting and service a lot. We did that in March for Q&A with Qlik. And there's definitely, if you want like a step-by-step on the reporting service, I believe there was a Techspert talk recently as well. So let me pull that up. All those recordings are here. Yep, that was in February. So those are great resources. And then someone asked if they can see a Qlik SaaS roadmap. If yes, then where? I will say, you know, we avoid all roadmap questions on this one as it is a support webinar. I'd say if you really want to stay on top of product news, under support, we have this product news section, which will have release notes sharing about, you know, updated releases. We also have under blogs, the innovation blog, which is where we share some like cool updates that are happening to all of our products. So right here, the Qlik innovation blog. So I'd check it out there. All right.
Yeah, or you can reach out to your account manager and they might disclose some of the stuff. We, of course, we don't go fully public with the roadmap because some things might be reserved, but usually the accounts managers are willing to disclose at least some of the information and provide a little bit of a plan, understand what your needs are, and then bring it up to product management if necessary. So don't be afraid to talk with your account manager about those things.
But rest assured, we're always working on something here at Qlik. We have a lot of projects in the works, so exciting things ahead. All right, well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you to our expert panelists. I'm sure we'll see you at a next one. We're definitely trying to do a migration topic at least once a quarter, so keep an eye out for that. I'll pull up the end of my slides here where I do my shameless plugs of mark your calendars for our next sessions. We have next week downloads, do's and don'ts. So that's definitely heavy on the client managed on-premise side of, you know, best practices to set up your space and test your space when upgrading your product. We have developer series, which we're running once a month, where you can kind of get more technical background on some of these products, and we're working on customizing extensions. And then, of course, like I said before, May 4th, right around the corner, is where we'll focus on Qlik Forts. So I'll ask that you all fill out this survey. You can check it on your phone. You can click the link when we end this session, but we're really happy that you all joined. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Daniele. Thank you, Julia. I did it in order on my screen.
Just one quick thing. I realized that I posted the links that I talked about to host and panelists. So newbie, I already didn't post it to everybody. So maybe Katie will be able to share them.
I tried to get some of them and I copied and pasted to everyone.
Okay.
I'll do a final check through to make sure that we got everything. But I think that's all. I do see someone actually might be from Qlik says, if you, I should mention to everyone, if you are still thinking about making the transition from QlikView to QlikSense, we have the Analytics Modernization Program where you can receive QlikSense entitlement for a small uplift on your annual maintenance payment. For more information, you can go on qlik.com or email AMP, that's A as in apple, M as in mom, P as in potato, questions at qlik.com. So I think even Jonathan mentioned some of those programs, and that is the way you can learn more about it. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining. We really appreciate it.